Hello, thanks for joining me today on my channel. This is Discovering My Dividends, and um, essentially what I wanted to do is just tell you that I am not an advisor, so anything on here is not advice. So feel free to use whatever you like, but make sure you're doing your due diligence to make sure it fits your portfolio. Um, I'm doing an investment challenge to make $1 million in less than 7 years. I'm only putting $50 a month into my account. That may fluctuate. It may get less or more depending on what my cash flow is. And I've created a whole strategy around it. So I'm going to talk a little bit about how important strategy is. But before I do, click subscribe and like. Help me to hit 100 subscribers. I haven't hit 100 yet. And I'd really like to do that by the end of May. So it's only May 7th today. And I'd really appreciate it if you could help me out with that. Okay, so strategies. Now, I kind of switched from being more of a swing trading strategy for this particular account that I'm doing the channel for, and that was really kind of where I thought I'd be at just time-wise. I thought, I had time to research stocks, but I didn't have time to be trading on a daily basis. But here I am. I'm actually doing more. I have more time to trade, but unfortunately, the way the markets are sitting, the stocks I've picked or the stocks I'm looking at trading haven't really given me a lot of opportunity. I thought there would be definitely more drops and more increases in certain ways, and that just doesn't seem to be the case. So, and I have a fairly diverse number of stocks. Okay, now I'm in Canada, so if you're in the US watching this, maybe you're seeing more fluctuation in stocks that you're looking at. But the whole point of having a strategy is still the same thing. Is you want your strategy to really guide you in your buying and selling. So if you're new, you don't want to just change your strategy willy-nilly. So when I switched to more intraday trading, that was exactly for the purpose that I had more time to do it, and I wanted to try and see more gains more often. Now I only trade dividend stocks, and I don't ever sell for a loss, and I've had success doing this. I've been trading for about 10 years, and so I've kind of come up with my own little strategy around it, and it's worked out. And I'm not saying you should necessarily follow this strategy, but having a strategy I think is super important, because the more I kind of confirm what it is I want to do when I'm trading, I find the better off I am, because I'm reaching closer to perfection, right? Now it doesn't mean there's not surprises, but in general, I'm not surprised in most cases, because I end up getting what I want out of the trade. It might take longer than I planned, but it's still there. So with that being said, I'm looking at my strategy, and stocks that I'm looking for, stocks that have dropped like 3 to 4%, and that 3 to 4% is, it's not in stone, right? Like if the stock is higher on its peaks and valleys, so if it's at a close to a high and drops 3%, well, that's not going to be good enough, because it's not be kind of closer to what the low potentially could be. And if there's anything that goes on, that low might drop even lower. So I might be looking like probably a 10% drop, maybe 12%, if it's coming right off the top. And even at that, I might still be a little scared to buy that day, because if a stock's dropping rapidly, how far is it going to go? So I might want to wait a day or two to wait and see if it's hit that bottom, and then come back and buy it. And I think it'd be a great buy, so I want to keep an eye on that. But on the other hand, when it's coming from a peak and it's going right down to the valley, it's probably a little too good to be true. So I want to just kind of hold on to that. So I'm not seeing a lot of these 3 to 4% drops, and the ones that are kind of doing that tend to be higher up on that peak and valley chart. So my strategy is saying I need to hold off. Now I do have a stock that I did go ahead and put a buy in for it, but I put it in for a price that is a little bit lower than what it's selling for. So I don't know if I'm actually gonna get it, because I put it in for a limit buy. I wanted this price or lower, and with that stock, it's actually gone up today, which I hardly ever do. I'm always looking for something that drops, but it's still on that peak and valley. It's still on the lower half, and it's been kind of consistently going up. So I feel like it's coming back to where it's actually should be priced at, and I think that's the key, is it's in the lower half of its peak and valley for my estimation. The other thing is it pays a dividend of 10%. There is some concerns about it, but I believe with the interest rates potentially coming down in the future, this stock isn't going to stay down because it's going to create more cash flow for it. So I think the dividend's going to stay solid. I think that the company has kind of that short to medium term safety, so I don't feel like it's going to be a huge problem. And I also feel it's somewhat protected from all this tariff war stuff that's going on. So I wouldn't say protected, and maybe not the right word, but it's less affected. So there's some shielding, I guess, from a major blow to it. But if a worldwide recession happens, it might not really matter, right? It still might be affected. So there's all kinds of possibilities. Pardon me. So here we are. I put in for this stock, and it's TF on the Canadian Stock Exchange, and I feel like it like I said, it has potential to grow. If I end up holding, it's got the high dividend yield of right around 10%. So there you go. My strategy has kind of helped me to kind of find these, and that is a go-to stock for me. If it ends up buying, that means it went a little bit lower than what it was showing today. If it doesn't, I didn't buy it for higher, and I'm okay with that. So use this strategy to help guide you with your buys and sells. Don't deviate from your strategy just because you want to buy something, and always kind of keep in mind that because the market is moving into a place where you think the price is down, that doesn't maybe mean that stock is as low as it's going to go. And just because the stock's going up doesn't mean it's going to keep going up, right? So strategy is important. Start to figure out some of the nuances in your strategy so you understand what you're doing when you're buying and selling, and go from there. So I hope you'll click subscribe and like. Check out my links if you're looking for some tips for new investors, and also if you're in Canada, I do have a link to Wealthsimple if you'd like to sign up. All right, see you next video.